All right, back with another media review. This time checking out some old Vice magazines. Vice magazine, originally known as The Voice of Montreal, was founded in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And in 1996, it was bought by Shane Smith, Sarouche Alvey, and Gavin McGuines, who actually later transitioned to a proud clown. But nonetheless, those three gentlemen renamed the magazine Vice Magazine in 1996. And in 1999, they relocated operations to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And it was this building right here that was adjacent to Fast Ashley Studios, where I started as a photo intern, painting these cycloramas right here. And on the weekend, I got a chance to work as a photo assistant as often as possible. And from there, I went on to work at Pier 59 and all the other studios in New York. And I'm not sure where all these Polaroids were taken, but many of them were taken at Fast Ashley Studios. And that was a real cool time to be in Brooklyn and in New York in general in the early 2000s. There was a lot of hype, a lot of energy, and Vice Magazine was a big part of it. They went on to become an absolute cultural behemoth, a media icon worth billions of dollars. They started Vice TV, which had a lot of awesome shows. Thumbs Up America, one of my favorite shows to this day. Vice Sports had a lot of great documentaries, well worth revisiting to this day. Vice News was a viable source of news then and still is. All these years later, it has made a major impact on culture and photography and journalism, and the print version of the magazine is still worth revisiting. I did look at many more magazines than you see here. I tried to pick out some of the best stories to focus on and highlight. And what I kind of realized looking over at a lot of these magazines or revisiting them is they weren't meant to be held on to. The photo annuals, for sure, they were really great. I always pored over these ones, looked over them 1,000 times, and really enjoyed the photo annuals. But a lot of the monthly issues that came out, they weren't meant to be held on to. That was original short form content. It was meant to be shocking and engaging, not necessarily meant to be held on to long term. I don't think that was the point. But looking back at a lot of the ads and a lot of the content, it was clear that there was just everybody wanted to be involved with Vice Magazine, and they were covering all kinds of counterculture. Here's Old Dirty Bastard and Harmony Coin, who produced Gummo and Kids, and Jean Grey, who is a fierce MC to this day, one of my favorite MCs. And they had fashion and photojournalism, and it was just covering just about everything that the youth wanted to see at the time, or the mainstream media wouldn't touch. And that's what made their TV so engaging, is their TV represented the energy that the magazine captured. And the energy in the magazine was tangible. You could just feel it. There was an energy about Vice that everybody wanted to be a part of. It didn't matter the brand, it didn't matter the type of music or the artist or the journalist. If you were involved in print media or in media in the early 2000s, Vice Magazine was on your radar somehow, some way. And whether it was contributing to or being at the parties or being involved with it in some capacity, it was a really big deal. And the TV show to this day is award winning. It's really amazing stuff. The do's and don'ts section was so fun. Look at this work by Danielle Levitt, who went on to be a world-renowned photographer. These are really awesome photos that I remember the story when it came out thinking, man, she's such a talented photographer, and it's no surprise that she has so much work from advertisers around the world. And Vice Magazine helped put these photographers on the world stage, which gave them access to clients around the world, and that's something that print media did at the time. That's what separated print media from today's digital landscape. Once this magazine was in your hand, it had gravitas. It had a punch to it, where scrolling down on social media just doesn't have the same feel. You don't have the same engagement with the media as we did back here. Here's some work by Richard Kern, who good luck getting one of his books. So it was kind of awesome to get free photos from him in a magazine that you would otherwise have to pay hundreds of dollars for if you wanted print work from Richard Kern in any other capacity. But the way you got it was to get a free magazine, a free Vice magazine. You had to go out of your way to get it, of course, but not always. They're at record stores and cafes and coffee shops, but it's still to this day it's print media worth revisiting, and some of the ads are a great reference point for where we were at 20 years ago, when there was a lot of mix of graphic design and photography, but it was the immersive journalism here, like the punks versus emos. That's the stuff that really made Vice magazine interesting. The global pandemic of the telenovela. I mean, these portraits are universal, and they're never going to get old. Some of the designs are a little dated, but the photography and the journalism is infinite. You know, like they say, writers never die. This stuff, although it's a little dated and some of the ads are, you know, the brands aren't around anymore, they're still great reference points. It's still art. And no matter, you know, the advertising to everybody else is just ads, but to photographers and creatives, that's a lifeline. You know, that's what people are living on. And that's changed, and it's forever changing. But the fact is that this still made a huge impact. It helped artists gain ground. It helped them build careers. It was a way to express the counterculture. Here's a young picture of young Aesop Rock, one of the most talented lyricists ever, used in the ad for Brooklyn Industries. I mean, look at this print that they included in the magazine, this wall-sized poster. This kind of stuff was not cheap to produce, and it was free. I did not pull it out because I like to preserve the magazine, and I don't need a poster-sized picture like this floating around. But either way, Vice magazine made a huge impact on culture, society, photography, and journalism, and it's media that I think is still worth revisiting.